Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. I'm doing this live, but this is going to be fast. I remember this just before I left. Let me just make sure. Yeah. ANTIFA, anti-fascists. There's an interview between H.A. Goodman and a member of ANTIFA. It's actually a really good interview. Yeah, it was a really good interview. Antifa guy was able to explain himself pretty well. Meaning what they're trying to accomplish, what they're thinking about, what their methodology is, even the organizations themselves. Meaning who composes the organization. Meaning you have anarchists, socialists, leftists, etc., etc. I know they believe they're doing something noble, and to some degree they are. They have this idea in their head of these people are fascists and we need to resist fascism. This can get really bad, so we need to fight this thing that gets really bad. This is wrong, however, for three reasons. One, from a free speech standpoint. Say for the moment you lived in somewhat of a free society, would people in that society be able to express things that you don't like? Now, I'm not talking about hateful rhetoric, but like, for instance, I'm not talking about violent rhetoric, like I'm trying to kill this person or hurt that person, incite violence. But you do need to give people space to be who they are. Shutting them up is not the same thing as getting rid of them. Those are two very different things. That's the first point. The second point, your usage. So, watching some of the coverage on the Charlottesville thing, and just in the news in general, Antifa is getting pretty decent coverage, or light coverage, I'll put it that way. Meaning, when AJ asked him whether or not he believed that the media was, or the Democrats were on their side, just for, for right now, he was like, he didn't think he was on the Democrat side. I put it this way, Trump and the Republicans are being somewhat tarred by this, but Democrats are trying to co-opt this. Now, what I mean by that is, the media itself, the media set, the establishment that is the media, however you want to call mainstream media, focus squarely on the Nazis, and to no extent to Antifa, only from the standpoint of who is this group, what is this group about. That's light coverage, like that's pretty decent coverage. Now, that's easy to do when you have Trump in that office, and Trump is horrible, and the media hates his guts. He's been screaming that they've been putting out fake news for God knows how long. They've jumped from the Russia story to the Nazi story. So they're not paying attention to you in this sense. My concern is that at some point, say for the moment that you get somebody, or that a Democrat gets elected, the media and that Democrat establishment is going to turn on you like a heartbeat. Meaning you're not going to get the favorable press, you're not going to get anything. If anything, they're going to label you guys the far left, and they're going to say the reason why you can't vote for these progressives in the primary, look at them, all of these guys are on the far left. In the same way that they're lumping in Trump with racists and Nazis, and they're trying to lump in Republicans with racists and Nazis, they're also, in the primaries, are going to try to lump your actions with progressives. This may work, believe it or not. If they put it this way, if they can show in any degree that you guys were being violent or anything else. And I know, like you said, I can't speak for each and every member of Antifa. That's fair. But if they can show it, even if it's just a political stunt, if they can show it, that's problematic for those particular candidates. It looks bad. It looks like a radicalized, violent left. That's the second part, meaning you will be losing for political ends. The Democrats like you now because you're helping them attack one of their foes. The moment that that foe goes away, you're on the chopping block. Now, man, you're on the chopping block in a way that's going to be used to tar whoever's running on the left. The last point. Yes, the Republicans look bad right now. I don't like that this can go into this kind of back and forth. Like where it's this perpetual battle on and on and on and on. They grow their army, you grow your army. And on you go. This seems counterproductive to me. Like, racism isn't conquered at the level of the races. If you, Antifa member, in fact, take the most dedicated Antifa member and place him in the same conditions as the most rabid Nazi, and you would get a rabid Nazi. Now, I say this to say that each person, each individual, who you are, there may be an element of you that's you, meaning there's some kernel of you that's some difference. But in that body, in that family, would you have turned out to be how he turned out? One experience after the next, after the next, after the next, after the next. Each one etching itself on you, each one you teaching you things, giving you fears, giving you things that you want to accomplish, telling you things that you want to believe, including erroneous things. If you were put into that Nazi's place, would you come up and be that Nazi? That's the question. If that Nazi was put into the exact same place as the most rabid Antifa member, would that person turn out to be an Antifa member? Probably. Let's stop pretending that each person, how they turn out, is purely an individualistic choice. I understand this thing of confronting these right-wing nut jobs. I get it. I agree with you. You should. I have no issue with Antifa at all as an organization. In fact, I think they should be more militant, meaning not necessarily sticking with, just the vulgar displays of Nazism. I'm making this point that suppressing is not the same thing as eliminating. If you want to eliminate, you have to deal with the source. Meaning, what is the source that would allow a Nazi to be created in the first place? What is the source that would allow an anti-fascist to be needed? They're not magic. They don't come out the womb being a Nazi. Meaning, to some degree, your society is also put on the line and put on the hook to be judged. If you want to fix that, hitting it with a sledgehammer and making it scary away is not the way to do it. You deal with economics. Meaning, what are the conditions that allow that particular thing to take place in the first place? And how do you fix those particular dynamics that will get you to what you're trying to do faster than just trying to confront them? Now, if your goal is just to shut them up, well, that's a different goal. At that point, you're saying my speech trumps your speech. I don't want you to have speech at all. I want you to shut up. I agree with that on a substance standpoint. I don't agree with that on principle. Meaning, no, I don't like hearing what those guys say, but yes, I understand that if I want to get rid of it, I need to deal with society itself. I stop dealing with the individual. Yes, you have to deal with the individual in the moment. I get that. So don't misunderstand me. But I'm talking about somewhat of a deeper issue. What's wrong with your society where you would produce a Nazi, where you would produce that conflict in the first place? And how do you fix that? And how do you as an organization come together, coalesce yourself in a way that can come up with some solution to that particular issue. That seems to be the uber question, or the question that lingers. Going to a rally and stopping somebody from saying something is one thing. Trying to eliminate their creation in the first place is a very different animal, and I would argue it's the point. You're going to help the other party, dude. That's all I'm saying. You're going to help the Democratic Party. They're going to drop you like a hot potato the moment they get into position where they need to tar the left. So I'm not convinced that this is not going to be used to bad ends. I'll put it that way. Bernie Bros came out the blue. They did that for a very particular reason. They wanted to get across a certain message. If you're fulfilling the narrative by actually fulfilling that message, that's a problem. I'm not calling you a Bernie Bro. I'm saying that if you're using certain tactics and you're from the left, you're going to hit everybody else. Or whatever you do is going to tarnish everybody else. Protect your image. Immensely protect your image. So I'll leave it at that. I think this is counterproductive, man. That's all. You're going to lose any battle that deals with force. You're going to lose it outright. I don't want to see anybody get injured and hurt. And we've already seen one person die. I'm not including those cops in the helicopter. I'm talking about the person that died on the ground from that person, the guy who murdered her. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Yeah, I have no issue with that group at all by itself. It's just the actions can be somewhat counterproductive. When cops get involved, you're going to lose. Not to mention, if one of those Nazis had a gun, they may have had sticks and bats. But if one of those Nazis had a gun, oh man. And I don't necessarily think that's so crazy to think about. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Alright guys, if you enjoyed the content, feel free to share, rate, subscribe, and of course, you can always support the work through Patreon. Thank you.